Hey everybody, and welcome to the live show, and happy Halloween. I know it's kind of an awkward time with it being 4 o'clock here on the West Coast, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, right in the middle of all the trick-or-treaters banging on the door. So maybe that gets you out from handing out candy. And you can say, I got to do some research. Watch the live show. Someone else can do the trick-or-treater. Last week, I didn't know, somebody said there was a delay in the audio last week. It's so frustrating because the audio delay is on YouTube's end and not on mine. So hopefully it's working okay. You guys can let me know one way or the other. All right, let's get into it here and see what we have to talk about. First of all, a big shout out to CanadaDrives.ca, a major sponsor of the channel. You've seen the ads running in the videos. A lot of people are complaining there's no inventory of new or even used cars. Canada Drives has an inventory servicing the Greater Toronto area, all of Alberta, all of British Columbia. Other provinces are going to be coming on board soon. So CanadaDrives.ca, 100% online shopping experience, and they even bring the vehicle in a covered trailer to your house. Also, Car Cost Canada. If you're looking for a brand new car, you need all the help you can get getting any kind of deal or discount. And the best way to do that is to actually find out what the dealer paid for the car. That's why it's called Car Cost Canada. What did the car cost the dealer to get it? That's very powerful information. So you sign up for that service using the name of the channel, Motormouth, as the promo code, and then you become an expert member. Okay, so stories we're following here. There's the big stimulus bill in the United States that's trying to clear the House in the U.S. And if this was to go forward, there would be massive tax rebates for electrification in the United States, up to $12,000 per vehicle. The problem is $4,500 of that rebate is contingent on the vehicle being union made, okay, in the United States. So that really is a problem for companies like Tesla, Toyota, Honda, several brands that don't have union basically employees. It benefits the domestic manufacturers like Ford, Stellantis, and General Motors because they have a long history of being unionized. So there's a lot of talk that this is favoritism towards the Detroit Three, even though Tesla has the lion's share of EV marketplace. So that's going to be one that's interesting to watch. Also, Toyota has confirmed that yes, they are going to have their called the BZ4X or the BZ4X SUV. The electrified SUV will be coming next year, sometime through 2022. Now, BZ or BZ stands for Beyond Zero. That's going to be a line of cars, obviously with zero emissions. 71 kilowatt hour battery, front wheel drive, all wheel drive, and over 450 kilometers of range or 280 miles, and is coming out in the middle of next year. That's incredible because Toyota, if they finally put their head to it and decide to do electric cars, that would be interesting to watch. Also, on the plug-in side, Mitsubishi unveiled the PHEV. So we've seen the Outlander. Has it been out for a year? It hasn't been out for a year yet, but the Outlander is out there now. Great new design. The PHEV version is going to be coming through the middle of next year. It has an 87 kilometer range. That's about 50 miles of range. Now that is incredible. That's on the Japanese test cycle, not the EPA test cycle, but we're going to have to watch that to see. With a 20 kilowatt hour battery and 3 rows of seats now. So the PHEV from Mitsubishi should be the one to beat, actually, better than RAV4 Prime, better than the Hyundai and Kia products for plug-in hybrids. Okay, excuse me. We do have some pictures to get to. The first one comes from, this is from Tom, who traded in his Audi SQ5, which is a great product, for an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quattrofoglio. And that is a lot of fun to drive, and good for you. Looks good in red, too. This came from Claude Chappelle, who was at a Concours d'Elegance event in Connecticut. Took a picture of my favorite car, the Porsche 911 GT3 Touring, but he said this was more his speed, and that is the classic Carrera GT. So thanks for getting the pictures in. Only a couple of pictures. If you want to get a picture in, send it to my email. It's zack@motormouth.ca, ZACK@motormouth.ca, or ZACK if you're south of the border. Okay. Let's get into it and see what's going on out there. All right, people are saying there's no delay with the audio. Nice one. If you have to have your question answered, you can do a super chat in the bottom where you type in the information. There's a little dollar thing there. You do a super chat, small contribution to the channel. Make sure I see it. That would definitely be helpful if you have to get your question answered. All right, where has my little thing gone here? That's what she said. All right, there it is. All right, back to this. Okay, here we go with our first question. Hey, Zach, how are you? Can you do the 2022 Ford Maverick? Yes, the Maverick is going to be coming shortly. So as soon as we get our hands on it, we'll get a video out on it. Also, the Escape PHEV with incredible range is also going to be in the media fleet here. So we'll do both those vehicles as soon as they arrive. We have seen the Maverick in person, and I really like the Maverick. I even like the front wheel drive base model hybrid. I just think for a little runaround car, for bombing around the city, it gets 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers in the city for fuel economy. Incredible fuel economy. Here's Sam. Do you think after the chip shortage is over, dealers will change their business strategy? Individual order versus vehicle inventory, and will be more difficult to negotiate a car. I think once the chip shortage is over and there's a ready supply of vehicles for dealers to have as an inventory item, I think we're going to go back to the way it was. People like to go shopping for a car and buy a car right away. I mean, we're just impatient when it comes to that sort of stuff. I don't think people are going to want to put orders in and wait. You see that much more in Germany, for example. In Germany, someone will order, say, like a Volkswagen Golf, and they'll spend, weeks and weeks deciding what features they're going to get in their Golf, and then they order it and they go pick it up at the Autostadt in Wolfsburg, stuff like that. So we just don't typically have that patience in North America. People like to be able to go to the dealer and see which, what colors they have and options, and then drive one away later that day. There might be some people that liked the whole idea of ordering their car, a brand new car, but probably dealers will revert back to the way they did things. But then you see a company like Canada Drives, who's shown up on the scene. You're seeing their marketing all over the internet here in Canada, where they're doing 100% delivery. So it's the same thing, though. They have a massive inventory of cars. You order the car and they can deliver it to you that day or the next day. And that's because they have a pool of vehicles. So people really like that instant gratification. Hi, Zach. Love your reviews. Well, thank you for that. Hey, Zach, I agree with your couple review of the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I do feel that they really dropped the ball on the exterior design. Looks too boring for being a super expensive luxury SUV. So I had the picture up here earlier. We did have the Grand Wagoneer video drop yesterday. So the Grand Wagoneer is a body-on-frame SUV built on the Ram pickup truck. It's actually not called a Jeep. It's just called Grand Wagoneer or Wagoneer. But you know what? That's what they're charging. They're charging huge dollars for this, even more than the Escalade. I don't think that's a good market to be in for FCA or Stellantis. I think that Cadillac and GMC and Chevrolet absolutely dominate the body-on-frame truck segment. Absolutely dominate. And General Motors cannot make these things fast enough. It's quite interesting that all of the hype is around electrification and all this kind of stuff. General Motors says they cannot make pickup trucks and large SUVs fast enough, which tells you the public is demanding what they want. And they want big, heavy trucks. Crazy, right? But yeah, I do agree that, the Grand Wagoneer really missed some of that heritage. Are you going to do the Toyota Corolla Cross 2022? Yes, we are going to Gatineau in Quebec, which is formerly called Hull, across the river from the nation's capital, Ottawa. So yeah, we're going to be driving the new Corolla Cross this week. And it's under embargo, so the video will drop 1 week on Monday, so a week from tomorrow. Hello, Zach. When I asked, you recommended another RAV4. My mother wants to try something different like BMW or Mercedes. Our range is 40 to 90,000. We like the X5 or GLE. What do you recommend? So there's a lot of stuff to pick in there. Do you really need something as big as an X5? Sounds like you do. The X5 with the 3-liter inline cylinder six is the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder is fantastic. That is a wonderful, wonderful power plant and is kind of my favorite in that category. So go and check one of those out. George, hi Zach. Why is the 2022 Honda Civic models are way more expensive than the sedan? The Touring hatch is $4,700 more than the Touring with the same features. Is it the rear wiper? Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's almost $5,000 for a rear wiper. You got it. The hatchback has always been more expensive. This isn't a news flash. Honda charges a premium for their cars. They obviously believe they have something different, and they kind of do, because there really aren't that many cars like the Civic around anymore, especially with, like, you know, they brought the Corolla hatchback out, but they hadn't been in that market for so long. But Honda has just been marching on with Civic sales decade after decade. Here's the news flash. The vehicle is priced for what they think they can get for it, okay? They think they can get a price premium over the sedan for the hatchback, then that is something they're going to try for. And here's the newsflash. If you don't want to pay it, don't buy it. I don't disagree that the pricing seems kind of out of whack, but you also have to know that Civics have gone up generally. The base model Civic now in Canada starts right around $25,000. It wasn't that long ago. I've been test driving Civics for decades. Used to be able to get a base model Civic for $15,995, something like that. Now it's $25,000, and the hatchback is obviously, for the most part, a premium offering with the turbo engine on most models. And yeah, that's basically what they want to do, and they will price the cars accordingly. If they don't move at that price, then they're going to have to put rebates on them. Here's Harold sending a super chat. Thank you very much, Harold. Appreciate that. Very nice of you. All right. We have, how's the candy going? Have you guys eaten all the Halloween candy? Do you make sure you get your own? I don't have any here. I didn't bring any down. Would have been good to have some candy. Happy Halloween. Is anyone else dressing up? Well, my youngest had a party last night and he dressed up. Yeah. So this is my son, who's 16, is the same size, he's taller than me actually, and so he borrowed a black suit and took the black glasses and went in as Men in Black from the movie. So that's a good, easy costume. So that was kind of last night. No dressing up today. Will you be reviewing the 2021 M3 manual? Well, we have to wait until we get our hands on. There was a BMW M-Power event in the U.S. last week, and Andrew and I were invited to go on it. Unfortunately, we had conflicts with other events that we're trying to cover, so we didn't go. We would have had a chance to drive the 2 Series, the M cars, so it's too bad, but we can't be everywhere at once. Same thing. When we get our hands on one, we will definitely do it. Thoughts on the Hertz deal? So yeah, Hertz has ordered 100,000 Teslas to put into their rental fleet. What I don't understand though is how they're going to charge them all and how that works. Because if you've ever rented a car and you take it back and the fuel isn't filled all the way up, you know they charge you a huge amount of money to put gas in it, not what you would pay at the pump. So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do that, because it's not like you can just drop into the gas station before you return the rental car, fill it up with gas and take it back, which is what everybody seems to do. I don't know about that. That's the part I don't understand. Had a huge impact on the share price of Tesla, and 100,000 cars is a massive amount considering the brand. What was the last number? I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it's around 500,000 cars they're making a year now. So that's a mammoth, addition to what they're already doing. So yeah, there is a Tesla rental here in Vancouver. Very small fleet, but yeah, I think we're going to see more of that. Hi, Zach. I've seen rumors the Integra might be announced in November. Have you heard anything? Well, there's lots of leaked information already about it. Not leaked, or put out information. I mean, Acura has been showing teaser images of the car. So what I'm hearing on Integra is going to be like the Civic Type R, but an Integra, because there is a long history there. In the 90s, there was the Integra Type R. Their Civic wasn't available, so they did an Integra model. So that's what we're getting information on, is it's basically going to be the Civic Type R, but as an Acura. All right? And when it comes out, we'll all know when it's released. But it's exciting that there's a fun little car like that. Are there any discounts on any electric vehicles or hybrids in Canada, Ontario? Well, it's individual to the brand. You have to look, if you're trying to look for the biggest kind of deals and things, you have to look for the ones that aren't that popular, right? If you're going to go into a Toyota dealer and say, I want 20% off a RAV4 hybrid, that's not going to happen. You might get $20 off a RAV4 hybrid, but you know what I'm saying? It's a very competitive market for brands that are popular. Same thing with the Tucson hybrid, the Santa Fe hybrid, the Hyundai and Kia new models, the Sorento hybrid, the plug-ins. All of those are in great demand and really not able to meet the demand, so there's no deals. So what you need to do is look away from the main brands and look at some other alternatives, and there really aren't a lot. So I don't think there's going to be many great deals on. If anybody is being able to get a deal, let us know, but you also need to sign up to Car Cost Canada, use the promo code MotorMouth, become an expert member, and then anything that you're searching for, you might be able to find a deal. So one thing to think about is everybody's rushing towards SUVs and crossover vehicles. So maybe you look at sedans. You might be able to find a sedan hybrid, like a Camry hybrid. Maybe that is available with a deal. Any news on the release dates for the 2022 model for the RAV4, in particular the hybrids? No, I don't have any information on that. We're seeing with the new products like the Tundra and the NX, they're shooting for December. Okay, for their new models, those brand new models. So it's going to be very soon. Truman, Zach, wristwatch check, please. What are your thoughts on the new Range Rover and the new Toyota? I already talked about the Toyota, and I'm wearing my Sea Dweller today. On the new Range Rover. Well, the new Range Rover, I'm not sure if you saw any pictures of it, was a bit underwhelming when it came to the exterior. It looks like an evolution, not a revolution, but the one thing I will say in Range Rover, Land Rover's defense is that has to be one of the most copied designs. Like you look at the Telluride, you look at the Palisade, you look at any new modern SUV with the way they've put the script across the back, the taillight design. So many of the modern SUV styling cues have been borrowed heavily from Range Rover and Land Rover. So, I don't blame them for not blowing it up and starting fresh. It looks beautiful. So they're going to have the plug-in hybrid and so on. Have to wait until we see it in person. Honestly, when you see pictures of new cars, I'm always a bit leery to make grand statements unless they're really ugly, for example. But often you see cars in person, and once you see them on the road, you kind of get used to them. Even the big grills from BMW, I see them on the road now, kind of getting used to them. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Does Lincoln compete with Buick or Cadillac? Greetings from Lincoln. Yeah, it competes with both of those. Buick is what you would call a premium brand. Cadillac is your traditional luxury brand. So there is a bit of a step up there. And Lincoln is also traditional luxury. I would say Lincoln and Cadillac have always been battling it out for domestic luxury supremacy. I personally like what Cadillac is doing more. The one exception is the Lincoln Corsair. I think the Lincoln Corsair is a really nice vehicle, nice driving, nice interior. The Aviator exterior is good, but I just think Cadillac overall has a better styling dynamic, a little bit more road presence, those sorts of things. VW hired banks to bring Porsche public. Your thoughts? I haven't read too much about this. I've only seen the headlines. But do you remember, I don't know, it was about 10 years ago, that Porsche, the board of Porsche almost bought Volkswagen. It was the minnows swallowing the whale, and that backfired. They've done it at Ferrari. They've spun off Ferrari as a separate company from Fiat with great results. So yeah, maybe just another way to make more money. But yeah, so you, instead of owning a Porsche, you can own the shares in the company. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But it's been done by other brands. Hi, Zach. Any insights on why we don't see more Kia Stingers on the road? Seems to be a nice mix of driving pleasure, practicality to good price. Thinking of buying a used one. Good purchase. I would say yes, it is. And if you're not aware, JC Cop, it's going away. I think this is the last year, this year or next year. That's it. And then Stinger is going away, which is a real shame. The way I would always sort of look at the Stinger is, so we hear a lot of fuss around Genesis, right? Like Genesis has got a lot of buzz around. People are excited about this new luxury brand, and they've got good driving dynamics and beautiful interiors and all that kind of stuff. Well, the Genesis G70 and the Kia Stinger share components for the most part. The wheelbase of the Stinger is a little bit longer. And it doesn't have the prestige badge that Genesis has. But for the most part, you're getting the same level of fit and finish, refinement, engines, all that kind of stuff. In a car that's actually a little bit bigger, better back seat, huge cargo area because it's got the lift gate, very similar to an Audi A7, and cheaper. And in Canada, the Stinger is less expensive in Canadian dollars than it is in the US, in the United States dollars. Isn't that crazy? So it's kind of like this sweet little spot. The problem is it's a sedan. And sedan sales, especially mid-size sedan sales, are just not happening. People are moving towards SUVs and crossovers. So obviously, Kia and the parent company Hyundai has a limited availability of production lines. They're probably going to be streamlining their production to produce more of what they need, which are plug-in hybrids, SUVs, all that kind of stuff. So the Stinger is going away. I'm with you. I think it's a great product. You're basically getting the premium amenities that you would get in the Genesis at a discount. So I strongly encourage you to try and get the newest one you can. If you can get like the current one, the 2021, beautiful interior. All right. Stephen is here. Planning on getting a new Civic. Should we get the demo car or new? Can you give me some tips on how to bring the car price down? Well, a demo is a good idea. You can also ask if they're, demo's not a bad way to do it. Maybe a service loaner. Sometimes they'll have a service loaner that you can buy. Because one thing you got to remember is when you're buying that car, it's already been registered, so you don't have to pay freight. Okay? So the cost of the freight, and it'll be about $1,500, is already rolled into the price of the car. So when you buy a new car, you have to pay for freight on top of it, which is crazy because when you go to a grocery store and you buy a can of Campbell's tomato soup, they don't say it's $1.49 plus freight and shipping. It's the only industry I know. Like you go to the Best Buy and you get a flat screen TV. Oh, I'd like an 80-inch flat screen TV plus freight and shipping. It's the stupidest thing, and I don't understand why the car industry continues to do this, and it should just be all-in pricing. But anyway, that's one fee that you can save because the car will have already been registered. You don't have to pay freight. You have to ask them to depreciate the car. So if the car's got 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 kilometers on it, because you'll have a salesperson, a sales manager, maybe a service loaner, maybe the service advisor has one as a vehicle. That is something you can definitely ask for. And maybe it's a service loaner. So that's a good way to do it. All right. So it comes off as a used car. So maybe it has some mileage on it and you don't pay freight. Snoop Dogg, are you still going to be doing your Friday videos? You and Andrea are doing a great job. Thank you. Yes, the goal is to continue to do the fun, cool, and collectible cars on Friday. If you're not aware, here on the West Coast, over the last month, it has been pissing rain. Like it's just been raining. We've had huge storms. It's been a gorgeous weekend this weekend. But the problem we have is that Andrea and I, at the beginning of the week, we look at the forecast and we have to do all of our car-to-car shots, all of our drive-by shots. I have to shoot out what I call shooting out the car, all the outside shots, all the inside shots. And so we need a dry day. It doesn't need to be sunny. It just needs to be dry or fairly dry in order to do that. And because we've had such crappy weather, the number of available days to do all of that stuff has been 1 or 2 a week. So the reviews, the full reviews we do, that takes priority. And then I have to try and find some time to go and get a car and do, the Friday drop. And because the weather's been so crappy, there's been no good weather to go and do it. So I would typically call up my buddy Cornelius at Core Cars and say, hey, can I come by and pick up a 911 or something? And the weather's just terrible. So that's really the answer is we've been busy and the weather has just sucked. So we're hoping to get a break in the weather and we can get back at it. The bad news is this week and next week, it's good news. The good news is we're going to be getting some other cars to drive because we're traveling for some car launches. The bad news is that when I'm traveling, I can't do those either. So I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And I know there's been requests to do the my Cayenne GTS manual transmission. I'm going to get around to doing that as well. That has to be done as well. Hey, Zach, look forward to your live chat each week. Can you recommend the best paint protection for a new Mazda CX-5 Pro white color? Is it best to get it done immediately after picking it up? It's a good idea to get it done fairly quickly because contamination on the paint can happen relatively quickly. And here's a news flash. Even when you get your car from the dealer, I don't know the dealer that you got your car from. I don't want to disparage new car dealers, but they're not really spending a lot of time and attention to detail in making sure the paint is perfectly polished with a really good coat of wax on it and all that kind of stuff. So if you can make the investment to go and get the car done with a ceramic coating, then that is the best, in my opinion. You're going to get the best coverage and get it done fairly recently after you buy the car. So that's good advice. Now, if you can't afford that, because it's about $1,000+ to get a car ceramic coated, at least it is here, then you would be advised to go to a professional detailer and get them to polish the car and put a good coat of wax on it, like a good protective wax on it. And there's loads of detailers around every city that can do that. So ceramic coating isn't something you have to do, but a good wax, and if you want to get it professionally done, that's a good idea. And then your job after that is to just maintain the car on a regular basis. Don't leave the car sitting with grime and dirt on it for a long period of time. Wash the car regularly, hand wash the car if possible, and then if you're not going to hand wash the car, take it through a touchless car wash, not through a bristle, one of those horrible ones, and not one of those ones where you get the foam coming out and you can scrub them with a brush. That's bad for the paint too. So a touchless car wash if you're going to go automated, hand wash if you can. And you can do it yourself. You can keep a car looking good without having it ceramic coated. Just wash it on a regular basis. All right, we have a super chat here from Chase. Pair character lying on the side, raising his arm. I don't know. How's it going? I guess I guess what it does is when you put the super chat in and you put an emoji, it tells you what it is. Pair character lying on the side, raising his arm while saying, how's it going? Well, nice. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. I think sometimes it's lost in translation, as they say, when it comes down to emojis on the live chat. But thank you very much for the super chat. Why are Japanese cars doors feel so light and cheap while German cars feel solid? Why is this? I don't know about that. I wouldn't say that's a hard and fast rule. There are cars with great sounding doors and not great sounding doors. One of my favorites is the older Porsche 911s. When you close the door, they went clunk like a vault. the G-Wagon for Mercedes. So I guess I'm kind of agreeing with you a bit. But those are kind of older style. It's just what they put their preferences into doesn't mean it's not as strong or sturdy in any way. The door latch, the way it clicks shut, the way the power door locks sound, all of that is engineered into the car. But I wouldn't agree with you that there's any advantage to German door sound over Japanese. James, I'm sure you've seen the information on the BZ4X. What's your take on the Tesla yoke-style steering wheel? What's Canada's stance on the legality of those steering wheels? Well, they're available. I just saw a Tesla Model S Plaid with the yoke steering wheel when we were picking up a car to test drive. It was in getting polished. I think it's just gimmicky, to be honest with you. I don't really see how it makes... As I always say when these things are... The answer to the question nobody was asking. Is anybody asking for a yoke steering wheel in their car? No. A round steering wheel has been working perfectly well for over 100 years. That seems to work. Anyway, the problem is that you have car companies chasing each other with gimmicks, and that's what I think that is. Well, it's also a movement maybe towards fully autonomous cars where the yoke will slide out of the way and then you just push a button and the car drives itself. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet when it comes to full autonomy. But I think that I've been saying this for many years. Toyota, in my opinion, mounts the biggest threat to Tesla when it comes to electrification and what they're able to do on scale. Because they have 10 million cars they make a year, plus they're frickin' Toyota, and they know how to make good quality cars. The number one piece of the puzzle is the reputation the brand has. And the reputation the brand has goes a long way to providing comfort for people to try a new technology. So if you're out there in the marketplace and you're thinking that you might want to get something that's electrified and you're not quite sure and you've been sitting on the sidelines, well, in rolls a Toyota. Well, we've always owned Toyotas. They've always been great cars. They're always reliable. They're amazing resale value. I'm going to try a Toyota. I think that's the biggest thing that they have on their behalf. And the other thing is 450 kilometers of EV range. That's pretty sizable. So it's going to be interesting to see when we get our hands on it. First-time car buyer and looking for a new SUV in the range of 27,000 should be economical to maintain and have a good safety. Can you please provide top 3 model I can consider in your opinion? All right, so if you're looking at $27,000, you're looking at the new smaller category of cars. I would look at the Mazda CX-30 would be one. I would look at the Hyundai Kona and the Kia Seltos. Those would be 3 to look at. And they're going to be right around there. The other one you could look at is buy a used Toyota RAV4. If you're just looking for something that's economical and good reliability and known resale, a used Toyota RAV4 would be a good first car if you're buying your first car. Hi Zach, what would be the best used sedan under $20,000? Android Auto is a must for me. Cheers from BC. So if you want a used sedan under $20,000 with Android and Apple, I would get either a Civic, a Corolla, or a Hyundai Elantra. Those would be 3 that I would look at. You can get them, the Elantra you can get brand new under $20,000, but you want to get some stuff in it, so probably used. Hey Zach, hope all is well. What's your opinion on the new WRX? It looks horrible to me. Well, they certainly are not going to win any beauty contests, but that's a theme and a trend we see with Subaru generally. I think, yeah, I agree with you. They missed the boat when it comes to styling. What was the one that came out about 10 years ago with the big body flares on it and the wing at the back and it looked all kind of like it'd been going to the gym? That one was the one I liked. It had the STI body on the regular WRX. This new one looks really kind of boring and sedate and pedestrian looking. The interior looks cool with the big 11-inch screen that they have in the Legacy, for example, and the Outback. So that's good, and it'll drive great. Like I'm telling you, Subaru will do a great job with it. It's going to drive well. It's going to have lots of power. It's going to do all that kind of stuff really well. But I'm with you. They kind of missed the boat. Why isn't Hyundai solved the lack of wireless CarPlay Android Auto in its top trim models? Why haven't they disclosed what the issue is? Thank you. We have asked. It's not for the lack of asking. We have asked many, many times, what's going on? We've asked, is it reverse compatible? The PR people at Hyundai have said, we don't know. And they ask and they don't get an answer. So we're all going around in circles. C Square says, hit the like button, everyone. Yeah, that would be really good. We've got 62 thumbs up. We've got 250 people on board. So if you could smash that, that would be great. Jerome, hello, Zach. What's your best advice to properly prepare your car for our harsh Canadian winters? Cheers. Well, Jerome, you would probably know better than me living in the province of Quebec, where you get real winter. Here in British Columbia, in the mountains, we get it. And the interior of the province, we certainly get real winter. But yeah, where you live. So the number one thing is winter tires. And in the province of BC and in the province of Quebec, winter tires are mandatory. They're mandatory for all vehicles in Quebec, starting in the middle of November, I believe. And already November 1st here in BC for all of the interprovincial highways. So you can drive in Vancouver and not have winter tires, but if you want to leave the Vancouver area, go up to Whistler, head into the interior of the province, you have to have a winter rated tire. So that's the number one thing. Good winter tires are absolutely key for driving in the winter. Chains, if you're going in really deep snow, you can buy a set of chains, and also check all of the things that need to get checked, like your coolant, especially for heat, right? That's where it runs through the coolant system, and your battery, all those sorts of things. The number one thing driving in the winter is using your brain. A lot of people just do stupid stuff. They overdrive their car in the winter. They have all-wheel drive. They think they can do anything because they've got all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive only gets you to the ditch faster. So yeah, it's really all about using your brains, driving to the conditions. Rain City, hey Zach, wonderful reviews. How would you rank how quiet the interior is in a luxury compact crossover? X1, GLA, Q3, XC40, and the XT4. Now I'm doing all of this from memory. I would say probably number one would be the Volvo. And the Cadillac is, we had the Cadillac recently. I like the Cadillac a lot. The only problem with Cadillac and the XT4 is they have too many kooky packages where you've got to, you've got to buy all these different packages to get what you want. They're all running with turbo 4-cylinder engines. So with that, you have an inherent noise in the cabin that you're not going to get with a larger displacement engine. So I would say of that bunch, probably the Volvo. Would you recommend the 18 Audi Q3 Technic middle trim? It's Audi certified. No, I would not recommend that car. So JD, that is the old Q3 built on the old Volkswagen Tiguan platform with the old 200 horsepower turbocharged engine and the old 6-speed automatic transmission and the old MMI interface, if it even has it. Yeah, not a great product. So that vehicle was left way, way, way too long. Now the current Q3, if you follow along, I don't know how many of those things we've sold because we did a really good video, I thought, explaining what you get with the current Q3, which is the short wheelbase Tiguan with the GTI engine, and people seem to resonate with that. They kind of got that. The old one, no. I would say that would be, in my opinion, would be a hard pass. It's not to say it's a bad vehicle. I just think there's better uses of your money for that car. Aaron is saying, after watching your review of the Genesis GV70, I ordered a lease. Well, Aaron, stay tuned because I'm editing it. I just was editing it before we came live here today. The GV70 2.5 liter, so the base engine video will come out on Wednesday. Jerome again, since there are not 36 ways of doing an EV mechanically, do you think we'll soon see enough? We'll soon enough see more of the same from car maker to car maker. Same shapes and crossovers all across the board. Well, I've said it many times that the barrier to entry to get into the EV space is you need electric motors, battery pack, and mostly software. So you're right. Everything else is just variations of the same thing. So, a lot of the character that you get from a car is the way it drives, because they all have different engines and transmissions. But when you get an electric car, they're all kind of using the same technology. It's funny, we were doing the Sorento plug-in hybrid video, Andrea and I, and somebody asked about how does it drive. Well, they all kind of drive the same. To your point, is that they're all becoming homogenous. So electric cars, once you've driven one, they're all similar. So yeah, I agree with you. It comes down to range. The problem with electric cars is it turns into a bit of a spreadsheet. Like, which one's got the fastest onboard charger? Which one has the biggest battery? Which one has the most range? Which one has the most? So it's not really a purchase done from the heart. It's a purchase done from the brain. And that, for a lot of people, isn't exciting. Hey, Zach, is it a good idea to lease a 2021 Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI? Thanks. Well, it's funny you mention this, because I have seen a whole bunch more. It just could be grandmother research, but just driving around, I've seen a whole bunch more Alfa Romeos recently. And they have a big deal on them right now. They keep on popping up on Facebook that they've got over $7,000 off. Like, I mean, this marketplace, with the way it's going and how tight inventories are, to have a brand that wants to actually give you a huge discount like that is massive. I love the way they drive. Really unparalleled. If you get the Stelvio or the Giulia, they are fantastic driving cars in comparison to the other vehicles in their competitive set. So I would say the Giulia is as nice, if not a nicer car, than the A4, the base model 3 Series, all of those. The C-Class, that is a wonderful car to drive. And the Stelvio is no different. The big bugaboo that Alfa Romeo has is perceived value when it comes to reliability. Now, we have gotten a lot of feedback from people after doing videos where we said we really like the Stelvio, we really like the Giulia, we questioned the reliability of the cars. We got a lot of feedback from people not only here but in Europe who watch the videos and say, I've had Alfa Romeo for 2 or 3 years, or I've had 2 or 3 of them, and the people that own them love them, and the people that own them that reached out to us were really happy with them. And if you look at the quality scores of Alfa Romeo, I'm trying to remember where I saw this. There was a quality score of Alfa Romeo, I think it was in Europe, where Alfa Romeo had a big jump in terms of quality. So, take that for what it is. Do some more of your research on that and try one out. You will not be disappointed in the way it drives. They are wonderful driving cars. I like the simplicity of the interior. It's clean, to the point, nothing fancy, but boy, the seats are wonderful. A really nice driving car. I would gladly own one myself, but I'm a bit of a sucker for punishment. I don't know if you've seen the cars I own. Charlottetown Spud, one of my favorite handles. Good to see you back, Mr. Spud. Do you think the new Civics, especially the top touring trim, is outpricing itself? $35,000 for a Civic is a lot. That was almost Type R money 4 years ago. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you one bit. I think that the Civic prices have gone way up. A base model Civic now is $25,000. The hatchback up to $35,000. But here's a newsflash. We are living in inflationary times. So when you see a car company come out with a brand new model, that's going to open the door for them to put the price up. They obviously believe that they have a unique offering. I would suggest probably they're looking at it in comparison to what Volkswagen charges for a GTI, would probably be a fairly close competitor, especially manual transmission models. But yeah, the price is going up. They obviously think they can get away with that. I don't know. If they don't sell and they're sitting on the lot and they're too expensive, well, they're going to have to put rebates on them. But I think initially, the market is so tight, there's going to be people that will pay that money. Do I think a Civic hatchback is worth $35,000? No, I don't think it is. Even the Civic sedan we had in the summer starts at $25,000. I can't believe a Civic starts at 25 grand. They used to be 15, 16 grand. It's amazing. Prices have gone up. I don't know what to say other than that. All right, where the heck was I now? Here's Steven again. Civic or Corolla? I would say Civic because, well, no, I take that back now. Civic or Corolla. It used to be Civic because it had independent rear suspension. I just remembered they have added independent rear suspension to Corolla, so that makes a big difference. I would still put the Civic in more of the driver's kind of car. It's a bit more driver focused than the Corolla, but they're both great. I mean, they're always going to work. They're always going to be saleable, easy to maintain. Not a problem with either one of them. What are your thoughts on the Corvette Z06 or Z06? I think it looks good. The horsepower is killer. The new flat plane crank V8 is something spectacular, and that's a bespoke engine to that car. So I think that's really, really cool. Yeah, I can't wait to drive it. The last time I drove a Z06 was at the launch on the track, and that was a load of fun. So I don't know what to say other than that. I think that you get a lot of value with those cars, and they are selling every single one they can make. They haven't been making a lot of them. That's the problem because of all the chip shortages. What determines a brand to be premium brand? I was unable to determine the difference between Nissan Murano Platinum and the Lincoln MKX. I would just say it's kind of like, okay, the Nissan Murano is a mainline car brand. It's not a premium car. So Nissan's premium line is Infiniti. Ford's premium line is Lincoln. So that's kind of how you would look at it. But I don't disagree with you that you can get a lot of features in a mainline brand like a Nissan. So if you're just looking at feature to feature, often it is similar, right? So maybe there might be a different grade of leather or something like that in a premium car. You often get a 1-year extra warranty. That's something to consider. But you're right. I mean, if you're just doing feature to features, what the hell is the difference? Not much. I remember I was at a Kia Rio. The Rio was the little subcompact car, which isn't available anymore. The car had folding outside mirrors, leather seats, navigation, backup camera, heated and cooled seats, sunroof, all of that kind of stuff in a Kia Rio for like 21 grand. It was crazy. So what makes a luxury car? A lot of it is brand. Brand is very powerful. Kevin, opinion on the Diesel X5D. The Diesel X5 is a wonderful product. Probably in the diesel space of that era, the cars that were made up until around 2016, the diesel had the most power. So if you were getting a Cayenne, a Q7, a Touareg, Mercedes-Benz, the GLE, for example, or the ML, I think it was called back then, the BMW had the most power. So it is absolutely wonderful to drive, great fuel economy. But now these cars are 5+ years old. So now you're getting into maintenance issues. Have they been maintained? The maintenance on a diesel engine can be much more expensive than a regular gas version. Have the filters been changed? Has it been maintained? So please get it inspected if you're looking at one by somebody that knows not only BMWs, but also knows diesels. Because the engine will run for a long time, but it's not that. It's all the stuff that bolts onto it. But anyway, wonderful power, amazing fuel economy, really practical car, but has it been looked after? That's the work you've got to do and get inspected. But yeah, wonderful cars. Here's the interesting thing is you can't get them anymore. So if you buy an X5D and you drive it, there's always going to be some nerd that wants a diesel. And I just love them. We have a Cayenne diesel. Absolutely love it. I was at the gas station today. I wasn't filling that car up. I was filling up a Mini before we took it back to Mini. There was a guy there with a Touareg TDI. And I said, "Do you have is that a TDI? Do you love it?" He goes, "Oh, I love it." And people like us, we're not getting rid of it. Like, this is the thing is the car's not going anywhere because you can't replace it. You just can't replace it. And my prediction is in the long run, in the next 3 to 5, not long run, in the midterm, in the next 3 to 5 years, well looked after, low mileage, or well-maintained diesels are going to be sought after by diesel nerds. Hey Zach, anything better than the new Santa Fe PHEV in the luxury market? Anything to wait for? New RX? Well, Santa Fe I wouldn't put in the luxury market. I would say, yeah, you can get the NX for sure. That is a premium brand and does have better range. The Santa Fe PHEV is around 50 kilometers or 30 miles. But yeah, I think if you're going to go sort of premium and get better range, it's going to be the NX. It doesn't have the same range as the RAV4, but I think it's 61 kilometers of EV range versus 68 in the RAV4 Prime. It's a heavier car. It's got more features in it. That definitely zaps the range. So that's the one to beat. I think the one that's going to be interesting to beat is the Outlander that's coming in the middle of the year. The Outlander on the Japanese test cycle has got 87 kilometers of electric range. Now that is not the it's not the EPA test. So I'm thinking it's going to be close to the RAV4 Prime, maybe better. That's coming out in the middle of the year. Now that's not a luxury product, but the interior on the top trim is really, really nice. Raj is saying, I'm in the market for a new watch. My last watch purchase was 14 years ago. It was a Tag, still love it, but thinking about an entry-level Rolex, thinking about a used one. Any advice? Well, Raj, you are right in the middle of the same issue we're having with cars right now. None available. If you want to go out and buy a Rolex, you are then going into what we call the gray market or aftermarket. And the prices of used Rolex has gone through the roof over the last actually this predates all the stuff that's happening now in the car industry. It's been basically happening for 5+ years in the Rolex market. Prices of used Rolex has shot through the roof. So a Rolex Submariner now, like a new one that's being flipped by the gray market, they're going for about $18,000-$19,000. These watches I think are retail around $12,000. So you see the big difference in price. So what would you get for an entry-level Rolex? Maybe look for what's called an Oyster Perpetual 41 millimeter. That's a nice watch. A Datejust. There's lots of good choices out there. Or maybe look at something else other than a Rolex. It's kind of hard to get that out of your system once you got it in your head. I tell you what, the Omega Seamaster 300M, I have one of those, the blue one, I wear it regularly. That is a hell of a watch. And I got to tell you, I've owned 4 different Rolexes. I've only got one left. I've sold all the other ones off because this is the only reason I kept this one. It was the first luxury watch I ever bought. But the Rolex thing for me is kind of past. I get it. You got to get it out of your system. But look at Omega. I think Omega is doing a lot of really good stuff. And that Seamaster 300M with the ceramic bezel is beautiful. I have a blue one. I could run and get it, but there you go. It's in the safe. And yes, I have a safe. Here's Harold. I own 3 Jeep Wagoneers, 80s era, and love them all. Why did they put that 7-bar grille on the new Wagoneer when it wasn't on the AMC Wagoneers and not the Jeep logo? I don't know, man. I think that they totally missed the heritage of the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer with this new one. To me, it just looks like a bigger version of the Grand Cherokee L, and to me, from the front, looks like a Ram pickup truck. There's really nothing about that new Grand Wagoneer that has any heritage. I mean, the wheels of the Grand Wagoneer were so cool. Somebody actually mentioned on Instagram that it's being used in Hollywood and TV shows, that Grand Wagoneer, all the time. They're very, very cool. And they're a Benjamin Hunting, a colleague of mine who lives in Montreal. He writes for, is it Road and Track or Car and Driver? Anyway, if you type in Benjamin Hunting, great guy. He lives in Montreal, great writer. He just did a Grand Wagoneer with a LS swap. So he put the Chevrolet engine in there. And he's documented it, and he's written up about it, and he's a great writer, quite clever, and a nightmare. He basically went through a nightmare to get that Chevy engine in the old Grand Wagoneer, but it looks cool as hell. All right, where are we now? Reinhardt is saying, I would think once the Chevy Bolts and Bolt EUVs are able to be sold again, probably be some deals. Listen, they already dropped their pants on the price on that thing. They dropped the price $5,000 in the US, $8,000 in Canada. I'm a huge fan of the Chevrolet Bolt. I think it's probably the best all-round deal in the EV space right now. So in Canada, what is it, $38,000 with over 400 kilometers of range, a fairly useful size car with a big sort of back seat and cargo area, drives really well. It's got great torque, fun to zip around, easy to park, comes with a great screens, nice size instrument. They fixed up the interior. They did all of that, and then they caught on fire. So, I mean, General Motors introduced it just as they introduced this new Bolt. They had these fires, and they had to recall them all. So, yes, EV production is back up slowly and apparently initially for the Bolt and the EUV. But I still believe that if you're looking for the best all-round EV for the, I shouldn't say bang for your buck, but you get the idea. The Bolt is hard to beat. Like, if you could show me a better EV for the price, I'm all ears. The Kona is great, well, much smaller. And the price is cool. I think the price is great. But you're right, they might have to put some extra incentives on it. Hi Zach, why is it the VW doesn't bring some of the coolest cars to North America? The next gen Golf, the ID3, the newest All-Track, the T-Roc, etc. Strange, given how big the market is here. The problem is the market share of Volkswagen in the United States is small. Volkswagen in the US is not a big player. Disproportionately larger here in Canada. Volkswagen's share of the Canadian market is bigger than it is in the United States. However, in total volume of sales, it's tiny compared to the United States. So we won't get in Canada what they get in the unless the United States gets it. And the United States also doesn't like some kinds of cars. Hatchbacks are not popular in the United States. Station wagons are not popular in the United States. And they obviously thought that they needed something bigger than T-Roc for the American market, for people who like bigger vehicles. I drove the T-Roc when we were in Germany several years ago. I thought it was fantastic, and I think it looks great, and you can get it with some really cool packages on it. Not available. So they brought in the current Taos, and which I thought was really good, by the way. I think the only problem is it's too bloody expensive. So there you go. They just don't have the market share, and they don't want to take any risk with unique cars. Now, they're bringing the Golf R, which is great. They're bringing the GTI, fantastic. I don't know if they maybe one day might bring a special version of a Golf R wagon. If they imported them from Germany, they would get, say they said, okay, we're going to bring in 5,000, and that's it. Put your order in. They would all be gone in in a day. I guarantee you. If you could get a Golf R wagon, they'd all be gone in a day. So I don't know why they don't do something fun like that and bring in some really unique, special versions that we could get. Even have a plaque on it, like number 228 of 5, something like that. I think it would be great. Any interesting electric cars in 2022 other than Tesla? Yeah, the Hyundai and the Kia electric cars are going to be arriving this year, plus that Toyota EV that's coming in the middle of the year. Yeah, just amazing range, amazing onboard charging capacity for the Hyundai and Kia cars. They're going to be real game changers, I think, for those brands. Oh, Harold, you got a cool watch. I'm wearing my Thunderbird watch as it marks my 50th anniversary T-Bird ball cap. All right, there you go. That's cool. Will you do a full review of the Tundra in the near future? Yes. So the trucks are going to be, the Tundras are going to be rolling out in December, the first ones. And really, in the first quarter of 2022 is when we'll have a big push. So there will be real trucks for us to drive. We had a prototype car when we were in Toronto, and it's interesting. We didn't really show it too much because we didn't want to show, because it really doesn't matter. But the door panels were all hard plastic, like like the back of your cell phone kind of plastic, and they almost look like they were done with a 3D printer. It's really interesting. Here's Scott. Scott, we featured his beautiful Mustang GT on the pictures over a couple of weeks. Can vouch for ceramic coating your car. I've gotten away with waterless wash and had it done 2 months ago. I don't drive the GT in the rain, but will. Yeah, we have our Cayenne diesel ceramic coated, and we had so much rain. I talked about that earlier, and a lot of leaves on the ground. And the leaves with the rain just turn into this, like it's like paper mache. You know, paper mache gets on, then it dries, it becomes like concrete. And I washed the car for the first time. It's like the first sunny days we've had in weeks. That was this weekend. So I washed all the cars by hand. But to get that stuff off was crazy. But then when I did finally get all the leaves that are caked on the bottom and the inside of the wheel wells off, the ceramic coating, the water just ran right off it. It's amazing stuff. So yeah, if you can afford it, it's not a bad way to go. Okay, thanks to everybody that tuned in today. Now, I don't get everybody's question on, obviously, but I do read them all after the fact. So thank you very much for being here. Yeah, we will be here next Sunday for sure. Andrea and I are going to Gatineau, Quebec this week to drive the Corolla Cross. What's coming out this week? We have, an SQ5 and the GV, what is it? The SQ5 and the GV70, I believe, is the comparison we're doing this week. Then on Wednesday, it's the GV70 2.5 liter. Then on Saturday, it's the Kia Sorento plug-in hybrid. So that's pretty cool. Then the Corolla Cross. And then we're going on a car launch that has GTI, Golf R, and the new 2022 Tiguan. So that's all going to be coming up in the next few weeks. So lots of really good vehicles. So make sure you keep tuned into the channel. All right. That's all the time we have. I'm going to go. We'll talk to you next time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and eat lots of candy. Bye now.